another episode of the GOAT Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Yander, back with you as always. So, let's see, we got a little bit of news and notes to get to before the episode gets started today. Well, in full anyway. A couple of running back notes here. So, you may have heard that the Washington football team has decided to release Adrian Peterson. And this is definitely big news because people were already taking a flyer on Antonio Gibson late. Some people really like Bryce Love. And the fact of the matter is, they're both now going to have an opportunity. It's really fresh. It just happened. And we're now less than a week until the first game of the season. Washington themselves is, obviously just over a week. It's Friday before the season starts right now as we're recording. So they've got just over a week to figure out who they're going to start. So, keep your ear to the ground, but you may not know that answer before you draft. I would assume that you're not going to know that answer for the first couple of weeks, how it's really going to shake out. So the question becomes, when would I draft the Washington running backs? There's only two I would think about drafting right now. That's Antonio Gibson and Bryce Love. I think the earliest I'd probably shoot my shot on Gibson might be the 7th round, and it could be great value, but I still think it's very dangerous. So maybe 6th round if I already have a few running backs. And for Bryce Love, I think maybe the 9th or the 10th round. Now, the other piece of news was that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to sign newly released running back Leonard Fournette. So, further complicating what was already a complicated backfield. So now you have, Ronald Jones, who was one of my guys. If you saw the GDP versus ADP show, then you know. But I love Ronald Jones for his current ADP. That has now gone away. So, in fantasy football, you have to be adaptable. You have to be malleable to the situation. And, I'm just off on Ronald Jones right now. I mean, you already brought in one veteran, LaShawn McCoy. Then you bring in another veteran, Leonard Fournette. You draft a rookie, Keyshawn Vaughn. I just don't know what the situation here is. And even though Arians has been very supportive of Ronald Jones as far as, what he's saying to reporters, it's his actions that concern me. And when I see you bringing in, numerous veteran running backs, I just think you can't be happy with what you're seeing. I don't know. So again, the question becomes, where do you draft these guys? For me, I'm probably not drafting them at this point. I think that Ronald Jones, maybe the 7th, 8th round. I'd still take a flyer on him, and Leonard Fournette, maybe even later than that. And I wouldn't be looking at, Keyshawn Vaughn or LaShawn McCoy, of course. I think Fournette and Jones are the only draftable guys here at this point. And I don't think either one is going to have enough value to go in those, first 6, 7 rounds. So we'll see. It's pretty ugly, I'm not happy with that situation. Not thrilled. I really liked Ronald Jones, as did a lot of folks. And looks like that's going to go away for us. So that's all right. We'll see what happens. Maybe he still gets the bulk of the work, and then, his ADP is definitely going to drop a little bit. So if you get him and he is the workhorse, then you got an even better deal on him. But I don't know if that's going to happen. So, all right, let's get on with the main part of the show here, which, of course, is the 9th part of our 12-part draft prep series. So, real quick rehash. We are doing a full PPR mock draft from each one of the 12 draft slots, 1 through 12. Using my own personal rankings and, of course, my gut, my instinct, trying to put together the best team that I can at each one of these draft positions and, hopefully give you a little bit of an idea, of the guys that are available in those rounds and some guys that you may have to reach for if you like them, some guys you can wait for, and just a few different guys that I'm targeting. At the end, we'll get a nice little draft grade from our buddies here at Fantasy Pros. Great website for just researching for mock drafts. Little shout out for them. So we're doing pick number 9 here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get our draft started here in just a moment. So with the 9th pick, you do have decisions to make, right? Because we're not sure if are we going to go with, running back, which is probably going to be the running back 7 or 8 off the board, or we're going to go with maybe, one of the other wide receivers that are there. The number 2 wide receiver we could probably get if we like Julio Jones at that spot, or if we like Devontae Adams as the number 2. Whoever you think is the number 2, you can probably get there. And it's possible that we get Michael Thomas. I don't think he'll fall to 9. But, if he falls to 9, absolutely that's where I would be drafting him. So, all right, we're going to see what comes to us at 9. Let's go to the draft board. All right, so 2 wide receivers have gone, Michael Thomas and Devontae Adams. Now, the only thing that's of note here is that Nick Chubb in this draft has gone at number 7. Dalvin Cook went number 5. So we know that means Derrick Henry's there. That means Clyde Edwards-Helaire is there. Also means Julio Jones, Tyreek Hill, as I mentioned, the top 2, wide receivers if you want one of those guys. So, for me, typically here, I'm thinking, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is probably the pick for me. The upside with Kansas City's offense is there. And if he falls to 9, he's been going 5 or 6 in a lot of drafts. So he falls to 9, I feel like, the value's there and the risk is just slightly less with my 9th. So go ahead with him. I think I've had him in a couple of these drafts here near the middle. So we're going to go with him. Julio, DeAndre Hopkins go, Derrick Henry goes. Oh, this batch here, Mixon, Sanders, Drake, all go as well. And we're back on the clock. All right. No other really big surprises there other than the fact that Austin Eckler, is still available at the 4th pick in the 2nd round. It's not a huge surprise or a huge drop, but just saying. Also, Josh Jacobs is there if you want to go the other way. So, Eckler is the high upside PPR machine kind of a guy, and Josh Jacobs is the pound the ball, going to have a ton of carries. Hopefully the receptions come up, but that's not really where he's expected to make his bread, as it were. Tons of great receivers left here. I know a lot of them are going to start going if I wait, but I want to lock up my number 2, and the fact that Josh Jacobs is here, that's how I'm going to start my draft over Austin Eckler. A little bit down on Eckler just because I don't think the targets are going to be anywhere near what they were last year. So I had to go with my gut there with Josh Jacobs. So, all right, we know a lot of wide receivers are going to go in this stretch here. Both of the tight ends go. Travis Kelce and George Kittle. Patrick Mahomes goes in the end of the 2nd round. As we get into the 3rd, big batch of receivers go, as you can see here if you're watching on YouTube. But I noticed DJ Chark now jumped up into the middle of that 3rd round. Seems to be a little bit higher than he had been going. And Mark Andrews goes with the 8th pick in the 3rd round. Speaking of Baltimore, one name that's still on the board is Lamar Jackson now. 3rd round has been, kind of considered by a lot of people to be the round that it makes sense. Although the consensus is that in home leagues, you definitely might see some 1st and 2nd round Mahomes and Lamar Jackson picks. Question for me is, do I want to take Lamar Jackson with the 9th pick in the 3rd round, which I do think is decent value, or is there one of these receivers or running backs that I just like that much better that I would go with? So I look over here, Adam Thielen, OBJ, Robert Woods, Amari Cooper. None of these guys stand out to me as guys that I have to have. And then looking at maybe a 3rd running back, Gurley, Bell, Gordon, Johnson. I don't feel like I'm in that position where I have to take a 3rd running back right now either. So I am going to go with Lamar Jackson here. Kind of a turn of events for me. I'm always a draft QB late kind of a guy, but it is all about value. And with the fact that I didn't love the rest of the guys that were there, and that happens sometimes, if you don't love somebody that's there and you think you can wait, then you should. I was thinking about going with Robert Woods there. He's got a great floor and a decent ceiling for a wide receiver. But I wanted Jackson, so I waited it out, and boom, he came back to me anyway. So, all right, I do want to take notice here, for those of you that can't see, you're not watching on YouTube, that Leonard Fournette went with the 1st pick in the 4th round, and some of that has to be just the algorithm of the draft simulator and where he had been going in drafts, and it's just kind of taking that into average, I'm sure. But if that's anything reflective of where he's actually going to go, I think that's way too high for him. So, all right, we're going to go back to the cheat sheets here, see what we have. We have quarterback, so we don't need to worry about that position for the rest of the draft, which is nice. Zach Ertz is still there, and I haven't really made my team like this, where I wait again for a receiver. It's a little bit scary. I don't know if I can wait again. I mean, there's a lot of these guys I love, that's true, but I have a lot of picks before it gets to me. And I don't know that Lockett or Metcalf, are necessarily going to make it back to me. So, got a decision to make here. I'm not going to go tight end. There's guys that I like at the end there, so I am going to go with old Bobby Trees, Robert Woods, and see how many of these wide receivers go off the board after. Darren Waller went as the fourth tight end. All right, so let's see. Waller and Ertz both went in the fourth. Yep, Lockett, Metcalf, all gone. A.J. Brown, all gone. So I wouldn't have gotten, any of those guys that I really liked there as my number one wide receiver had I gone with tight end. So we're going to look at the cheat sheet. We're going to look at my rankings here. Evan Ingram, Hunter Henry, this whole group of guys that's always there, in the sixth round, fifth, sixth round, those tight ends. I'm not going to look at that yet. I'm looking over here. I see guys that I really like. Kareem Hunt, I still think is a great pick. The opportunity there, he's going to be used. Antonio Gibson, like I said, he's starting to crawl up the board. I had mentioned the seventh round where I would draft Gibson, and at this current ranking, looks like he's going to go before that, maybe in the sixth round here. So, I know a lot of people are a little down on Devontae Parker. I might have him a little high. I think he's going to come down a little bit in my rankings. But I am going to go with Devontae Parker here, just because I still think there's every reason to think he can still be a top 12 wide receiver, a wide receiver one. I do think Fitzpatrick will start most of the season. I know Preston Williams is back, so that's an issue, but I'm okay with it. All right. So we know Dak Prescott went in the fifth, and then Kyler Murray went as well as Russell Wilson. So even though we have a quarterback on our team, it's just worth noting that second, tier of quarterbacks, the Prescott, Wilson, Murray, and Deshaun Watson tier, is all going, kind of earlier and earlier in that fifth to sixth round. And I think you'll see in the seventh round that next tier, the Matt Ryan, Breeze, Brady tier, they're going to go in the seventh round, which is earlier than, previous years. So we got two backs and two receivers. We got our quarterback. Still need a tight end, and then we need depth. So we're going to look for guys that we really like. All right, so I'm going to take a chance here. I'm going to play the ADP game. I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt, and I'm really, really hoping that Michael Gallup makes it back to me. That's the plan here. So we know the story with Kareem Hunt. He's going to have his own value. He's going to get touches, and that's Stefanski offense. He's going to get touches, and Michael Gallup didn't even come close to making it back, which is fine. That's the sixth round again. So Michael Gallup is like my guy for this year, and I know that I gotta scoop him up in the sixth if he's there, because he's not making it back to me in the seventh, even though his ADP says he might. He doesn't make it back. So, Gallup goes, Higbee and Ingram in the sixth, along with Hunter Henry in the sixth. And then, as I mentioned, I just told you, the older quarterbacks are going to go. So there they go at the end of the sixth, Breeze. Going into the seventh, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, Tom Brady. So there's that next tier. Again, I'm out of the quarterback hunt for this draft, but still good to know what's going on. So I can look at wide receiver here. I can look at tight end. There's no way I'm drafting a tight end here. At this point, I missed out on a lot of the guys I really like. I do love Hayden Hurst, but I don't feel a strong need to take him here with Gesicki, Gronkowski, and Blake Jarwin as guys that I love also. So I'm going to wait that out. Going to look receiver here, and this is why I wish I went Gallup. I could have went Gallup and then grabbed another couple of these guys that I really like anyway. But instead of doing that, I went with Hunt, and that kind of put me in a tough spot here because I feel like I have to go receiver even though I don't. So we're gonna go back here, look at the cheat sheets, and we're gonna knock out a pick because we would normally be on the clock. So, do I like one of these running backs enough to go running back? Yeah, I'm going Antonio Gibson. So, I had mentioned maybe the seventh round would be where I would draft him, and we are in the seventh round. So, I'm pretty happy with that, actually. I think he has a chance to be the number one guy, to get good usage in the passing game, and that's the combination you need for your running backs. So, all right, back to the draft board. Not that many picks go. CeeDee Lamb, Singletary, Josh Allen. So, yeah, a lot of these guys are going in their usual place, and there's an argument to be made for all of them. DeAndre Swift, I didn't realize DeAndre Swift went the pick before me with Antonio Gibson. And DeAndre Swift was another running back I was very high on to start the season here. And now with the leg injury, he's falling a little bit. But in the 7th round, it's pretty good value. You can wait and see if that works out. If he gets on the field in week 4, week 5, and takes the job, he's gonna return a 7th round value. So, all right, now we're gonna need a wide receiver. Let's see who we like here. Brandon Cooks, Jamison Crowder, Deontay Johnson, Sterling Shepard, John Brown, Anthony Miller is this little tier right here. I think Brandon Cooks is the way to go. I know he's the top rated here, but listen, Deshaun Watson is going to need to throw the ball a lot. They're in a tough division with a bad defense. I think without DeAndre Hopkins, we just don't know who the number one's going to be. Hopefully he stays healthy. I think the odds of him staying healthy are better than the odds of Will Fuller being healthy for the whole season. So I don't think it's a bad pick there. All right. I don't know what they're going to think about my team. I've been very, very wishy-washy with the grading system here. So, all right, we got 5 picks left. We're looking at depth here. We still need tight end, but we're also looking at basically best player available, right? So, looking at the tight ends. Still, all the guys I like, nobody's touched a tight end there in those last 2 rounds. So, Matt Breida, Tevin Coleman, Latavius Murray, Marlon Mack. At this point, I don't want guys that I can just I can play that guy. Like Matt Breida, you can probably play him. He's going to get, 10 touches a week probably. But I don't know if I want a guy I can just play. I have guys that are in my starting lineup. I need a guy that if I'm going to play him, it's because he's balling out or he's got a great opportunity. And there's a number of those guys here. Latavius Murray is definitely a big one. Kamara still isn't signed to a long-term contract. I know he's back at practice, but, hey, the issue, it's there. It's a thing. Darrell Henderson. We don't know that Cam Akers has that job for sure. There's no reason to think that that's a definite scenario. Boston Scott, same thing with Miles Sanders. If they don't sign, a veteran, then Boston Scott can be a lot more involved than we think. We're going to go Latavius Murray here. I just think that he's got that monstrous PPR value if something happens to Kamara. And if it doesn't, then he's someone I can drop and I can pick up another piece if I need to, or someone that's going off on the waiver wire. So, all right, let's look at our roster here. I think we have a lot of running backs, right? No, only 5 running backs. Yeah, so we have a lot of running backs. 5 running backs, 3 receivers, and just adding depth here, looking at guys that we like. All right, so now some tight ends are going to start going again, and I can get my tight end now if I want him. The value's there. I would take Hayden Hurst here, and I'm going to look see if there's anybody I love. If I'm like, oh, I got to have this guy over him. The Jacksonville guys are definitely interesting. We just don't know what's going to happen there. I think I can wait and get one of those guys. I'll take either one of them. So I'm going to go with Hayden Hurst. Like Hayden Hurst, I have him as like my 4th or 5th, top-ranked tight end, and that is assuming a lot. So there's definitely risk built in there, but I've got him ranked really high. I think 100 targets plus is extremely possible and on the table for Hayden Hurst this year. So, all right. Well, only one other tight end went in that whole run, so I maybe didn't have to do that. But let's see. Raquel Armstead went. Keyshawn Vaughn, Madison, Darrell Henderson. A lot of these upside running backs. Mecole Hardman, one of my favorite late-round wide receiver targets went. So, that's sad. All right. Let's look at wide receivers here. What do we like? We got Golden Tate, Jerry Jeudy. I wish Henry Ruggs was there. Ruggs would have been my pick for sure. Definitely would have snatched him up, but he was gone in this last round. I think I'm going Golden Tate. It's very possible and reasonable that he might be the number 1 target for the Giants. He definitely might be the touchdown scorer for the Giants. We just don't know. And at this round, I'm ready to take a chance. I think there's every possibility he's the number 1 or 1A, 1B with Sterling Shepard. I don't think Slayton's going to get anywhere near as many targets as some people do. He still might have touchdown danger, but I don't know if that's enough for me. All right, 2 picks left. We don't need any positions. We're just looking at depth. Do we want to get a backup tight end? Do we want to get a backup quarterback? I don't think so, right? Because, you draft a quarterback early so you don't have to draft a second one. So I just think that's silly. If I did, Matthew Stafford's still there. That's crazy. Cam Newton, Daniel Jones, Ben Roethlisberger. I'm fine grabbing any of these guys off the waiver wire should anything go awry. All right. Wow. So the guy I liked before, I really like Jerry Jeudy, and I went with Golden Tate anyways. I think his role is just a little bit more guaranteed. But let's go with Judy here. We have the opportunity to do that. I'm going to go there. Bryce Love just went. So I was going to think about Bryce Love. I already have Gibson. I don't know why I want to lock up that entire backfield, but, I was thinking about it. Oh, there goes some back quarterbacks. All the guys I mentioned, Newton, Jones, and Roethlisberger. So, all right, we're about to make our last pick, and we're going to find out what our draft grade is. We can do anything here. We can go back up. I'm going to go with maybe Blake Jarwin, maybe. Let's see. Oh, no. Blake Jarwin's gone, so I like Chris Herndon, but no one's going to grab him right now. I can get him off the waiver wire. Look at one of these running backs. Who has a chance at a starting job? I think it's Joshua Kelly. It looks like he's, maybe taking over Justin Jackson as that secondary role for Austin Eckler. And I'm still not convinced that it's a secondary role, whoever is playing alongside Austin Eckler. We don't know that he's going to be able to handle that much work. We've never seen it before. And I don't think he can take 250 plus carries. But he looks ripped, so he might be able to. But we're going to go Josh Kelly here. He's been a popular pick for me at this point in the draft. So let's see our draft grade. What do we got? All right, B+, 88. I'm not mad at that. I'm not thrilled. I think if they had Hayden Hurst ranked as high as I did, then he probably wouldn't have made it there. Same thing with Devontae Parker. But let's look at our overall team here. So we have Lamar Jackson as our quarterback, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Josh Jacobs, Kareem Hunt, Antonio Gibson, Latavius Murray, and Joshua Kelly. So, I've got 6 running backs on roster right now. In this mock draft, it's a lot of running backs, but a lot of chances. And in a year like this, we don't know what's going to happen with, people maybe missing games, due to COVID restrictions. Then, not the worst idea to have a little bit more depth at a position that's a little bit thin. So, wide receivers: Robert Woods, Devontae Parker, Brandon Cooks, Golden Tate, Jerry Jeudy. I guess this might be the section of my roster that can pull me down a little bit. Devontae Parker is definitely not a guarantee to be even a wide receiver 2, at this point. And, Brandon Cooks has his own question marks. Just not the most depth there. But, listen, Kyle Yates, this is the first draft I've had that he really liked. It looks like 93. So he gave me an A. And then we got a B+ and a B-. So pretty good draft here, 88. I'm fine with that. I like this team. The number 9 pick, I wind up with Lamar Jackson. And when I saw how late Matthew Stafford was available, if you saw the other episodes, I'm all about Stafford. So I would have waited and I would have grabbed Stafford, honestly. So, and then I would have had another top-end wide receiver, even though I think I have 2 very good ones anyway. So, looks like my team they have is the 4th highest scoring team with the 6th highest scoring starters, and again, 2nd highest scoring bench. So this is something I've been harping on is you want to have that strong bench, and they got me as the 2nd highest scoring bench. So that puts me in a good position to have good depth and to have good options. So I like it. All right, well that was our draft from the number 9 spot, everybody. So that's gonna do it for us, nice and easy. Nice and quick. We're going to get ready to get the 10th episode out here shortly, so be on the lookout for that. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube, you make sure to hit that subscribe button. Please like the videos. Please share them if you can on social media, anywhere, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, please. Always a big help for us. And if you're listening to the podcast, you can find it on any major podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and a bunch of other ones as well. So you can always listen to the smooth, sultry sounds of the GOAT wherever you are. So, all right, folks, everybody's got drafts this weekend. Get ready for your prep. Just be ready to do it. Stay clear-headed. Stay focused. Make sure you're doing research all the way up to your draft. Things happen really fast. If you had a draft, for whatever reason, if you had a draft this morning, you might not have known about Adrian Peterson and Leonard Fournette. And that would be a big mistake. So make sure you're keeping up with things. Make sure you're watching the GOAT. Make sure you have a great rest of your day. See you next time. Thanks a lot, everybody.